Good morning. Good morning, cubies and newbies. Hi, cubies and newbies. I am Sunshine, and this is the ABCube method for solving Rubik's Cubes. I am here to play. I'm the creator of the ABCube method for solving Rubik's Cubes. I showed some of my early work a couple days ago. Yesterday, was it? But Formula A is 4 moves, Formula B is 8 moves. You can see my full tutorial at abcube.how or abcubemethod.com. I think I also have that one as well. But abcube.how is where my full formula is. I have to edit it because I did it wrong, but it's there. It works. I also have a YouTube. I'm also on speedsolving.com. I'm also on Wikipedia as a standalone solution for solving the Professor's Cube, which is the 5x5. The 3x3 was first. It was called the Magic Cube, then it was called the Rubik's Cube. Then came the Rubik's Revenge, or the Master Cube. Then came, I don't remember which, the Pocket Cube, and then the Professor's Cube came in there as well. So there was the Rubik's Cube, the Master's Cube, the Professor's Cube, and the Pocket Cube. But this was also called the Rubik's Revenge, and so that kind of cemented the fact that all Rubik's twisty colored puzzles were called Rubik's at that point in time. This is the Void Cube. It's a little bit harder than the 3x3 and a little bit more complex than the 3x3, less complex than the 4x4. Same principle in that you cannot see where the center is supposed to be, so you can get a parity from these ones up. Formula A, Formula B works on every complexity Rubik's Cube. All you need is Formula A brings the color to the top and twist the corners around if you want to. Formula B moves 3 pieces around as needed, and that's all you ever need to do. It's just a matter of determining which cube is incorrectly placed and applying Formula B to it, tossing it in the direction it wants to go, over and over and over again. Good morning. Who wants to say hi? There is we do not address the parity, the elephant in the room. A parity is something that can show up on the 4x4 that doesn't show up on the 3x3, and the reason it does is because you have the option on a 4x4 of having a center slice be a quarter turn off. That can't happen on a 3x3. It can happen on the Void Cube, but if it's on a 3x3, it's painfully obvious what the problem is. So let me demonstrate. If the center is an odd number of turns off from correct, you cannot do a pair. You cannot make the cube match that orientation. If it's an even number of turns off, like that, then you can. So even number of turns off, I can make this 3x3 match this color pattern. So it doesn't matter whether the center is correctly positioned. It only matters whether it's an even number or an odd number of turns off. So this is doable. We call this boxes. This is not. This is not. So if you have, if the center is 1/4 turn off, you will get a parity, and it can look like. Can look like this piece wants to go there, and these two pieces want to switch, which looks like, in a simplified form, would be one piece flipped and only one piece flipped, which you cannot have. But it is two pieces that are not flipped that need to reposition themselves. You can look at these two, or these two, or these two, or these two. It can look a lot of different ways, and there's a different formula, different algorithm to learn depending on what your parity looks like. But every parity is caused by the same thing. The center is a quarter turn off. Twist that center, twist the line that touches the parity in one direction, either direction, and the parity dissolves, poof, it's all gone, and you can solve the rest of the cube. So let's scramble. whenever a new person makes a misstep and accidentally scrambles the cube, I praise them because scrambling the cube, that just gives them more opportunity to practice, and scrambling the cube is actually the hardest part about solving the cube, is getting it into a scramble, because as you're a newbie, you're like, oh, but I just did that and it was fun and I don't want to mess it up because I don't know that I can do it again. So you protect what you've done, and you don't want to just pick it up and scramble it. You have to have confidence that you can solve it again. So for a newbie to scramble a cube is mentally difficult, and for a master to scramble the cube is difficult for a different reason, because you're like, oh, I still see the patterns. I can still see how to solve this. This isn't really scrambled. Which is why we always used to trade cubes for the scramble and then solve other people's scrambles when we were in the day, as it were. When the cubes first came out, the world was divided into those who can solve the cube and those who cannot solve the cube. Those who can solve the cube, a few of them came up with their own method. A few people did. Those people wrote books and became famous. Everyone else read those books and memorized them, like me, and could solve the cube, but not without memorizing the algorithms. And the algorithms back then, because we were a text-based society, we did not have YouTube. We had to translate the cube and the pieces into text. So R became the right face, L became the left face, F became the front. At first there was top and bottom, but then that became up and down, so we could have a back as well. So we named every face, and then we named the moves as whether or not that was a clockwise or counterclockwise as you're looking at the face. And then we just memorized the algorithms and what the algorithms did and in which order to use the algorithms. And those who knew how. I watched. I could do the cube. I could do the cube. I had memorized all the algorithms, and I was down to about 3 minutes on the cube, which I thought was really pretty good. Between 3 and 4 minutes on the cube to get it solved, and I thought that was great. And then I heard TV Guide and in the news that there was going to be a Rubik's Cube competition. I thought, well, cool. I wonder what that's like. I'm going to watch that. Because it's like, I did not know it was about speed. And I did not know that everyone who was competing could already do it in under a minute. And my mind was blown away. I was shattered. When I watched that first competition, it was 23.4 something seconds was the fastest. And I looked at the cube in my hands. And I looked at the TV, and I looked at the cube, and I said, nope. And I put the cube down. I was so frustrated. I didn't pick the cube up for another month because I'm like, I did that. That's beyond me. I can't compete with that. But it was too fun. I had to pick it up. I had to get back into it. But the thing is that because I could solve the cube, that made me an oddity at school. I was an oddity before, but not for the right reasons. So everyone had a cube. Most people had a cube. Half the people had a cube, but not everyone could solve it. And so they would come around and they'd say, "Hey, will you teach me? Can you teach me?" I'm like, "Absolutely, I can teach you." And so that's what I started doing. It's like, "Will you teach?" I started my friends, right? And then, "Hey, will you teach my friend?" And then, hey, will you teach my friend's friend? And I'm like, sure, because it was fun to see understanding start to dawn in their eyes as they realize, oh, when I do this thing happens. And so, and then I did not realize it until retrospect. About 3 days about 3 days before it happened, suddenly the bullies stopped bullying me. You know, nothing was said. No, not hey, you're cool now, or hey, we won't pick on you anymore. Just the bullies just stopped bullying me. And then about 3 or 4 days later, the prime bully came up to my flock of people around me with their cubes and said, will you teach me too? And so knowing how to solve and teach the Rubik's Cubes was how I survived, in a very real sense, how I survived middle school and high school. Was because I had a skill. I could solve it and I could teach it. And so I have been teaching the Rubik's Cube off and on, since the early 80s, when 81 was when the first competition was held. And so Mr. Verasano, this guy right here, he's the one. He did it. He set the world record, the first national record. It wasn't worldwide at the time, but he set the first one. He became the world cube champion. He was the first. This is the book that I bought at the corner store to memorize. It's back before there was standardized notation. And they're like, look, you can make the cube into letters. Here's the alphabet. Things you can do. Here's how to do boxes. Here's how to do checkerboard. Here's how to do the stripes was called shooting stars back then. Other games to play. Okay, this is fun. You'll find this interesting. It is a constant challenge. Okay, other cubes to play. Speed cubing. It is a constant challenge to try to restore the cube to its solid colors in the fastest time. Keep track of your best time, and as you get better, you will find you are able to break your record often. The first time through, the solution may take hours. However, you will easily improve on that each time you try. Try to beat the following times. 20 minutes means you're a whiz. 10 minutes means you're a speed demon. 5 minutes means you're an expert. 3 minutes you're a master of the cube. You'll probably need to memorize the solution to become an MC. If you use the expert shortcuts and memorize them, you can do even better. World class is under 1 minute. It helps you to have a very flexible cube and good technique. So yeah, I was between, like I said, between 3 and 4 minutes when the first championship happened. So that's fun. And I know nowadays beginners get under a minute before they start even calling them speed cubers. And I am still not under a minute. The reason is when I do muscle memory, I learned how to do it with muscle memory back in the 80s. And so I was only as fast as my, I couldn't break my own muscle memory to go faster. And back then the cubes were not like this. Okay, you could not finger trick a cube. You could not corner a cube with the original Rubik's cubes. They were clunky, and it generally took two hands to make each turn. And this was before we had lube. So when some people tried to put Vaseline, but it messed up the cube. So what we used to do back then is you pop one cube out and then sprinkle baby powder inside the cube, and then the baby powder would smooth it. Because if you took it apart and just washed it with just plain old water, the dust from inside the cube helped it move faster. So if you washed away all the dust, it was then you had to put the baby powder in, talcum powder in, to get it to turn smoothly again. This is before lube. All right. Enough talk. No more talking. Do. Okay. Who do we have here today? Good morning. If you've just joined me, I am Sunshine, and I created the ABCube method for solving Rubik's Cubes. It works on every complexity Rubik's Cube, and yeah, you can learn it inside of an hour. No lengthy algorithms to memorize. We've got 4 moves, we've got 8 moves, and they're commutators, mathematical zero, so it's easy to remember, especially since that's all you do over and over and over again. So, let's start with a 3x3, shall we? I used to be color neutral, and I used to teach it color neutral. I would say your cube has 8 corners, pick a corner. And because whichever cube you had 8 corners, and you say pick a corner. Pick a corner. Okay, I picked a corner. Okay, your cube, that corner has 3 colors, pick a color. It's like, okay. All right, that color is where we're going to start. That cube is correct because you selected it. We're going to make all the rest of the cube match it. And so we would do that. But when I was writing the book, the manuscript, it's not a book until it's published, so it's still a manuscript. But I do have this in physical format, waiting for an agent to help me publish it. I did find an agent when I first finished it. Page Publishing. They hit the editor had actually been talking to me, and he's like, do you have a book? He was one of those. I said, I do have a book. I said, oh, can we help you publish it? And I said, well, it's not finished yet, but when I'm finished, you can help me publish it. So he called me, like any good salesman, every month or so, saying, how are you coming on that book? First, though, I said, hey, yeah, it's about Rubik's Cube. They're like, oh, we can't do that because trademark infringements and da-da-da-da-da. And besides, isn't the Rubik's Cube kind of had its day? Is the Rubik's Cube still even a thing? I said, oh, sir. Go ask your kids. And so he called me back and said, I talked to my grandson. We're ready to help you publish your book because he showed me da-da-da. So when I got it done, I said, hey, my book's done. What's the next step? They said, okay, give us $5,000. I said, no, that's not the next step. He was going to help me self-publish, which is, hey, I'm a cube expert. I'm not a publishing expert. So I want this done the correct way. I want to get myself an agent, and the dream is to be published by the For Dummies people, because that is I wanted to be able to say, hey, look, I wrote the book. Here it is. There's a story there. I went to the For Dummies website, and I looked at I searched for all of the topics that they have. And and they're like, okay, they don't have Rubik's Cube. Good, I can do it. I can be the first. I can be the one to do it. And so I kept working on my manuscript, getting it fine. I'd take it in a form. I'd find a non-cuber and say, here's a cube. Here's my book. Tell me where it gets confusing. Tell me what is unclear. And they would go through and say, well, this is kind of confusing, and this needs to be worded differently, and what does this mean here? And so I'd take it and rewrite it and go through that. I went through that for 5 years before I was finished, ready. And so, anyway, all right, I'm like, okay, great, and then I searched the For Dummies people. And this time they had a Rubik's Cube for Dummies, and I'm like, oh no, because I searched for it, they went out and found someone, and they did it. And I'm like, oh, I'm so depressed. And so I went and got, I downloaded a sample chapter on my Kindle, and I read it, and I'm like, well, this is ridiculous, because it was just the regular beginner's method. It did have arrows instead of along with the algorithms, but they didn't have just arrows. They had like circular arrows, meaning that you're moving the front of the cube and turn. And it wasn't even self-contained. Okay, on one of the pages of this sample chapter, it said, go to YouTube and type in this search string and watch the video and then continue. I'm like, Okay, I can blow that. I've already blown this out of the water. No competition. I'm still in. I can still do this. And the thing is that the next time I checked, they no longer had Rubik's Cube for Dummies. So I don't know whether someone had hijacked their name, or whether they had said, yeah, you're not good enough, and dropped them. But I can still be the... They currently don't, but I'm not going to search on their website to see if they do, because then they'll go out and get someone before me. Anyway, I don't just comment them, because you cannot approach them as an author. You have to go through your agent. So, looking for an agent. All right, so yellow. Here's a yellow. Yellow's on top. I held my cube so that cube that's correct, that I'm going to match, is under my left thumb, and I'm looking at the front of the cube as if it is a spreadsheet with rows and columns, and the arrows represent the single layer I'm going to twist, and the black line represents the rest of the cube. So with 2 lines, I can represent every complexity cube. I started off with 3 lines, and then I went into 4 lines, and it became complicated. So I narrowed it down, simplified it. So the first thing you do, this cube is correct, so I look at this corner. Does this corner have a yellow on it? Is the yellow on top? Yes? Great. No? Then it's anywhere on this corner. And if there's a yellow on this corner, then formula A will bring it to the top. That's the bottom row, the right column. 1 row, 1 column. And formula A will bring it to the top. But if there's not, then I have to look at the cube underneath it to see if there's a yellow here. So if there's a yellow in one of these 2 places, formula A is going to bring it to the top, because it switches these 2 around. So that's the bottom row, the right column. This piece is going to come here, so I start by moving it away. I move the space down. I move the cube and the space back, cube into the space, and the cube and the space back up again. Is my yellow on top? No, not yet, but there's still a yellow in one of these 2 spots. So formula A will bring it to the top. Just do formula A over and over and over again until it's on the top. Okay, and I'm only looking at the corners. I'm only looking at yellows. I'm ignoring the rest of the cube. So the yellow's on top. Slide it out of the way so that it's protected now under this cube, this thumb. And now I'm looking here. Is there a yellow here? No. Here? No. Rotate the bottom row. Hold the cube stable. Rotate the bottom row by quarter turns until the answer is yes to, is there a cube in one of these 2 spaces? And so now there is. Formula A brings it to the top. Eventually. It's going to be less than 5 moves or less, because 6 gets you back to the way where you started. Okay? That yellow's on top. Slide the top row. Keep going. There's another yellow. Hi. Wait, your name is CubeX19 and you don't know how to solve the cube yet? CubeX says, hi, now I actually have to learn to solve a cube. I have successfully taught everyone who's ever asked. Oh, the 7 by. Let's do that. All right, let's do that. Here's a 7 by. All right, and this formula works on every complexity Rubik's Cube. Does not matter how many pieces there is. You do not have to learn algorithms except for these 2 formulas. Formula A is 4 moves. Formula B is 8 moves, and that's all you need. Okay? I don't know what the 5x5 method is, but this is a 5x5. If you look at the professor's cube on Wikipedia, which is what the 5x5 is called on Wikipedia, this method, the AB method, is listed as one of the methods for solving the 5x5 on Wikipedia. Yay, hooray. So here's a 7x7, and I can solve it. I will demonstrate with just A and just B. That's all you need. Okay, and there's, because parodies are a lie. We don't care about parodies. 15 minutes for a 7 by. Formula A, Formula B, all you need. When I teach my students, and I teach inside of 2 hours, total teach time inside of 2 hours, they can pick up any cube and put it down solved. We don't care about time. But because it's just Formula A and Formula B. All right, so let's do this one. Here's a yellow corner. Does this one have a yellow on it? Yes. So Formula A will bring it to the top. You just bought your 7 by. Good job. So this works, like I said, A and B is all you need for solving every complexity Rubik's Cube. There's no yellow here, but there is now. So A brings it to the top. Okay, slide it over, A brings it to the top. Okay, when your yellow is on top on all four corners, okay, yeah, scramble it. Let's go. Let's do it. I will wait for you. Formula A brings your yellow to the top. We're working with yellow because it's easier. Because I use phrases like yellow and white or left and right. So scramble it up. And while you're getting the corners to the top, I'm going to demonstrate on this one. Here's a yellow. Is there a yellow here? No. Is there a yellow here? No. Rotate the bottom quarter turn. Is there your yellow? No. Rotate the bottom. Yes. Okay, so thumb on this one, left thumb on this one. Formula A. Up, down, in, up, down, in, up. I'm going to show how to bring your yellows to the top, yellow corners to the top. And you tell me when your 7 by has your yellow corners on top. And then I'll go back to my 7. Okay. So you find a yellow corner, hold it under your left thumb, and then look at the cube under your right thumb. And is there a yellow on it or underneath it? Formula A will bring it to the top. Okay. This one has, all of these have yellow on top. This one doesn't. Okay, here's my yellow. That's correct. I think I finished. Oh, okay, so your yellow's on top now? Okay, good. And I have them bring the yellow to the top. I say, okay, great, now do it on this cube, and I give them until they're really comfortable with Formula A. But I'm going to move on to Formula B now. So once your yellow's on top on all four corners, your corners have 2 other colors, so let's look at the other colors. Look at the sides. At this point in time, either all of the sides will match, none of the sides will match, or one side will match. So blue does not equal green, red does not equal orange, blue does not equal green, red does not equal orange. Okay, so in this situation, okay, so alright, so in this situation, none of the corners match. Okay, in this situation, one side matches, and do I have one where all of them match? Okay, so either none of them match, all of them match, or one of them matches. If one of them matches, you hold the cube so that the match side is facing away from you, like headlights. If none of them match, it doesn't matter which way you hold it, because you're going to, after you do this formula, then one side will match, and then you know which direction to hold it. So none of the sides match, so I'm just going to hold it whichever way I want. Formula B, 1 row, 2 columns. We're working in the corner, so it's the outside columns. Every other move is horizontal. Every other horizontal is the reverse of the one before it. So you've got an up and an up and a down and a down. So slide first up, slide second up, slide first down, slide down. Oh, your sides already match. Okay. Well, all right. In that case, do this. Do right 2, front 2, right 2, and now none of your sides match, and you can work along with me. Formula B moves 3 corners around. Formula A brings the color back to the top. Okay. So, or you can just leave it there and catch up. Let me catch up with you. So, green side matches, the other sides do not. Faces away. Formula B, slide up, slide up, slide down, slide down. Move these 3 corners around. Formula A brings it back to the top. Slide it out of the way to protect it. Keep going. That is why I say that scrambling is the hardest part of solving the cube, because you if you don't scramble it good, you get lucky as you're solving it. Okay, so the yellows are correct. The yellows on top, the sides match. Okay, so my first 4 corners are correct to each other. Is that where you are? Okay. If none of the sides match, doesn't matter which way you hold it, you do Formula B and then A to bring the colors back to the top, and then one side will match. Hold that matching side to the back, do formula B and A to bring the colors back to the top, and now your sides match. So B is only done once. B and then A to bring the colors back to the top, and then you reassess, and B and then bring the colors back to the top. Okay, so my yellow corners are correct to each other. Is that where you are? I'll do it on this one while I'm waiting for feedback. Red side matches. Red side faces away, yellows are on top. Okay, so one side matches, faces away. I do formula B, slide up, slide down, and then formula A to bring my yellow back to the top. When it's on top, slide it out of the way to protect it and keep going. I don't rotate the cube at all. Slide it out of the way to keep going. And yellows match. Okay, and do that again. Green side matches, the other three do not. Green faces away. Do formula B, slide up, slide down, and then A to bring the yellow back to the top again. And then the sides will match. When yellow's on top, slide it out of the way using only the top row, and keep going on the next cube that meets it. You got it. Good. Okay, so the yellow corners are correct to each other. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take these yellow corners and we're going to put them face down. We're going to abandon them because they're very clever and can take care of themselves. Okay, so we have to assess what is the color that's common to the second four corners. And on a standardized cube, that's going to be white. Every cube is going to have a white on it. If you have a non-standard cube, this cube opposite yellow is red. So we just have to go with what you want, what you got. So yellows are face down, and I'm going to bring white to the top on all of these corners now. So I've got white, so the white, it has two whites. Okay, doesn't matter. Hold it so that one of the whites is under your left thumb. And look at the corner that's under your right thumb. Does it have white on top? If it does, slide it out of the way so it's under your left thumb. And okay, good. If it doesn't, what we're going to do, formula A is going to bring the white to the top. And at this point in time, this is why we're not rotating the cube, because we're going to bring the white to the top using formula A. It's going to be an even number of moves. It's either going to be 2 or 4. No, yeah. Okay. We're going to be using formula A until the white's on top. And when the white's on top, hold the cube stable, rotate that cube over so it's under your left thumb, and continue your formula A. It did not break. The yellow did not break. We abandoned the yellow. We're not looking at the yellow until we have the white back on top, because the yellow is going to look like it scrambles, but we're not paying attention to the yellow until the whites are on top, and then we will look at it. Otherwise, it looks like the yellow broke. But the yellow did not break, because formula A is never going to mess up anything that's below the first layer. It will move around as your mid pattern, but if you have not rotated the cube while you're bringing your white to the top, the yellow does not actually break. So when the whites are on top, now I can look at my yellow, and they're still back together. Then as long, just keep going, keep bringing your whites to the top, rotating only the top row, and when your whites are on top, your yellow will still be solved. But if you look at it while you're mid-cycle, it looks like it messed up, which is fine. It just gives you a chance to start over again. Okay, so when the white's on top, the yellow should still be happy with itself. Okay, and then we do the same thing with the white. We'll check this other sides. Blue does not equal green. Orange does not equal green. Red equals red. So one side matches. Okay, and the yellows are still face down. We're ignoring the yellows because they're going to look like they're changing, but they're going to come back. They're going to reposition themselves, because that's what formula A does. That's what formula B does. It only moves the pieces you want to move and leaves the rest of the cube alone. Okay. So red side matches, face it away from me. Okay. Formula B, up, up, down, down. Okay, and if I look at it after Formula B, the yellows are still happy because Formula B does not mess up the bottom half of the cube. Okay, and then Formula A is going to bring the whites back to the top, and as long as I don't rotate the cube while I'm doing that, those yellows will stay happy. So, out, down, in, up, that's 1. Out, down, in, up, that's 2. This one's correct, slide the top. Out, down, in, up, that's 3. And the yellow looks scrambled, which is why we're not going to look at it. Out, down, in, up, 4. Slide the top. Out, down, in, up, 5. Out, down, in, up, 6. And so, look at my yellows now. They're still happy. Yellow, first 4 corners are correct to each other. Second 4 corners are correct to each other. Slide the top row until the top and bottom match. And the 8 corners are now complete. And that's the same whichever cube you're looking at. Okay. If I bring the yellow, Formula A will bring the yellow to the top. Is it okay if I turn 2 layers instead of 1? Horizontal or vertical? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because the only ones we're paying attention to are the corners. If you move the others, we haven't done anything with the edges yet. So if you move 2 layers instead of 1, it doesn't matter. But if we've done this correctly, the corners should now be correct to each other. Tell me if we're at that place. Well, I finished this one. Down and up. Looks like it. Good. Okay, so the corners are correct. Now at this point in time, we used to work around the center because the center had an absolute center did not move in relation to itself. So, but the corners, every cube has corners, and so we treat all the cubes the exact same way. When the corners are correct, those corners are now dictating to you which color each face is going to be when the cube is solved. Okay. Now I've been training my eyes to look for yellow and white, so I'm going to keep looking for yellow and white. So I'm going to hold the cube so that yellow and white are left and right as dictated by the corners. Okay, and then, so with yellow and white left and right, I look at all of the edge pieces that are in my center area and see if any of them have a yellow or white on it. And if I'm going to find one that has a yellow or white on it. Okay, and okay, so yellow and white are left and right as dictated by corners. I found a piece that has a yellow on it. It's yellow on top and another color on front. If my active color yellow or white was on the front and I wanted it to be on top, I would just flip the cube so it's on top, but yellow and white are still left and right one way or the other. Okay, so just pick one. You said there's 3, just pick one. Okay, so my question is, so the yellow and white are left and right, you have an edge piece that has a yellow or white on it, and the yellow or white is on top, right? Has to be on top. If it's on the front, flip the cube so the yellow and white are flipped, but the yellow and white are still left and right. It has to be on top. Okay. All right. So here's one. I'm going to work on this orange and white piece. You have a piece, so you have your piece selected. So bring the corners, move the corners together as a unit to match the front color. Okay, my front color is orange. I'm going to bring the corners to match the front. Okay, so I have my piece selected. I brought my corners to match the front. Okay, and then the question is, your active color, your white or your yellow, is that going to the left side or to the right side? Both? Both. What does both mean? Both corners. Bring the corners to match the front. Bring the corners are friendly now, so we keep them together. Okay, so this one wants to move to the right. Let me find one that wants to move to the left. Okay, yellow and white are left and right. Here is a piece with my active color on top. Okay, so bring the corners to match. I did not finish my buoy on you. I did not finish the corners on that one. Let me finish these corners so I can. I went a step ahead of time. Let me get caught up. Okay. All right. Okay, so yellow and white are left and right. Yellow and white are left and right. White's on top. Corners match the front color. This one, yellow's on top. Corners match the front color. Okay, so with the corners matching the front color, the color on top is going to go either to the left side or to the right side, depending on which color. So this one wants to go to the left side. This one wants to go to the right side. Which way does yours want to go? So I know which one to mirror. The piece that you've selected that has your yellow or white on top and the corners match the front, does yours piece want to go to the left or to the right? I will mirror your movement. Because this piece wants to go to the left and this piece wants to go to the right. So the top color is white, yes, and yellow and white are left and right. So your corners match the front. That white, which is white on your left side or your right side, as dictated by the corners? Left. Okay, so this one wants to go to the left, so you can follow me. This cube is going to go to the left. We're using the top row, and we're using two columns, but the two columns are, the first column is where the cube is going to land, which is this column, and the second column is where the cube begins, which is this column. Okay, so our two columns are this one and this one. If it was this one, it would be, if I was moving this one, let me find one that goes to the left here. All right. Oh, okay, so corners match the front. Mine's yellow, yours is white. It's going to the left. So this is the first column. The second column is wherever the column that holds the piece you're working on, the one you're going to place. Okay, so I start by moving away from the action. So I move it away, up, in, second up, away, down, back, second down, and it's placed somewhere on that side. Do it again. Away, up, in, up, away, down, in, down. So it's, if you look at every other row is the top row is horizontal, and then the first column up is where it's going to land. I'll find another one. Here's another one. I'm going to repeat that. Okay. Corners match the front. The active color yellow is going to this side. Away, up, in, second up, away, down, in, second down. And we just we pick a cube that's in the middle. Okay. We find the active color on top. Okay, so yellow and white are left and right as dictated by the corners. Find another piece in the middle that has yellow or white with the yellow or white on top, and bring the corners to match the front. Now, does your piece want to go to the left or to the right now? Left again. Okay. All right, so does this one. Okay, so top row, first column is the left column. The second one is where your cube begins. Away, up, in, up, away, down, in, down. And then your cube is placed one piece at a time. Okay? And you're going to keep doing that. This is a lot of rinse repeat with yellow and white left and right until there's no more yellow or whites in the middle areas. If there's, as you're turning the cube to see all of the edge pieces in the middle areas. We're not looking at any centers now, and the corners are already correct to each other. So just find all of the yellow or whites that are in the middle area and keep placing over and over and over again until the opposite until there's no more yellow or whites in the middle areas, and then you assess to see if they're correct. And either they'll all be correctly placed, or some of them will be placed but incorrectly placed. If that happens, I'm pretending there's no more yellow or whites in the middle. You can do the whites first, then the yellows. You can do yellows and whites, but you're going to keep doing this until all of your yellow and whites are done. If you want to, if you just want to do the whites first, you can do formula A for every piece of the white if you want to. Let me demonstrate. Here's a white piece that wants to land before the blues. It wants to land up here. Okay. So I have this piece, and it wants to land up here. So formula A is to move the piece out of the way, move the space down, move the piece into the space, and the piece in the space back up. Okay? You can do this for one face, but only for one face, because it affects all 6 faces. Here's another one. Here's a white, an orange. So it wants to land on the white face between the 2 oranges, so it wants to come up there. And I can do this again. I can move it away from the action, move the space down, move the cube and the space back in, and then the cube in, cube and the space back up again. So you can do that for the edge pieces, and you can do that for the center pieces, but only on one face. So you want to do the whites first? We'll do the whites first. But here's an example of a centerpiece that wants to go. I move it out of the way, I move the piece down, I move the piece into this, out, down, in, up. Okay, so formula A will get the entire white face done. You don't have to use formula B for the white face, for the first face. And I'm guessing white is your first face. But you're going to keep doing, you're going, for as long as you're going to do the next, after the corners, the next step is the opposite edges. So the yellow edges and the white edges. And we keep doing that. All right. Okay, so pause what you're doing. Let me just give you a really quick overview, and then I'm going to let you turn you loose. Okay? So, come on, give me, where's a big cube I've got? That's too big of a cube. Okay, I'm just going to give you a real quick overview, really fast, and then you can get back to what you're doing. So formula A, for bottom row, right column, brings the corners to the top. Okay, and twist the corners around as you're doing so. Okay, formula B for the corners moves these 3 pieces around. Slide up, slide up, slide down, and again formula B only moved 3 pieces. The rest of the cube did not get messed up, which is why when we ignore the bottom, we trust it's going to get back to the way it was. So formula B for corners moves 3 corners around. Once is clockwise, twice is counterclockwise, and 3 times gets you back to start. Okay. Goes to the right. Okay, let's do a goes to the right. Okay. Here's a red and yellow. Yellow and white are left and right. Bring the corners to match the front. Okay. This piece, yellow's on my right side, so this piece wants to go over here. So, top row, first column is where it's going to land. Second column is where it begins. So this column and this column will move this piece over to this side. Okay, are you ready? Okay, away. You start by moving your piece away from the action. First up, back. Second up, reverse, down, back, down. And that moved it to the right. Okay, So B is here, is to the left is as B is written. To the right is the mirror of B. So you start by, you move the piece away from its action, move the, where it wants to land up, bring it back in, where it is goes up, which places it on the back, and comes back down again. We're going to do another to the right. Here's a blue. To the right. Bring the corners to match the front. Okay. First column is where it's going to land. Second column is where it begins. Away, up, in, up, away, down, in, down. Okay. So yellow and white, opposite edges. We're doing the opposite edges. Yellow and white are left and right. And we're going to keep, oh, I was going to show you. Let's pretend that I've run out of corners in the colors in the yellow or white, and I've assessed and not everything is correct. Okay, so because here's a piece that's yellow or white, but it's not in the right place. So I'm going to apply Formula B to one of these to displace this one so it's in the center and I can work on it again. Okay, so I don't have to pay attention to which one this is going to be because this is going to mark which one it is. So I go away, up, in, second up, moved it to the back, away, down, back, down, and now it's in the middle and I can keep placing my yellow or whites from the middle out. Okay? And we keep yellow and white left and right until the opposite edges are solved, and then we put the white end down and we work on the yellow on top, and we displace the yellow so we can start working on the side edges one piece at a time. But it's all just Formula A, Formula B. It's most Formula A is only for the first face, for the absolute edges, and for the corners. Everything else is Formula B over and over and over again. And so if you pause for 1 second, I've just shown you how to do to the edge to the left and edge to the right. Okay. Just real quick, let me show you how the centerpieces work. Okay. You pick a piece that wants to go on from the front, that wants to go to the top. Move it up. Rotate the top so it's in a separate column. That's your second column, is that where that intersected. And then reverse down, and that's how you move 3 pieces around on the centers. It looks like I moved 2 pieces, but that's because 2 of the pieces were the same color. Okay? Line it up, slide to a different column, second up, reverse, down, reverse, down. Okay. All right, so do you want me to hang around with you in case you have a question, or do you want to go play with that and come back to me next week? By the way, thank you so much. Gratitude to you for going to do the edge thing. Okay, I'm going to leave you to it, but it's just Formula B from this point forward. And you just find a piece in the middle that has yellow or white, toss it to the edge. Find a piece in the middle that's yellow or white, toss it to the edge. Keep doing that for as long as there's a yellow or white in the middle. Okay? Oh, you want to keep in the stream. Okay. My brain translated that to being in the flow. Okay. All right, then I'm going to go back. I'm going to do mine. I'm going to keep doing what you're doing. We're doing the opposite edges. We're doing yellow and white. Yellow and white are left and right. I'm going to find a yellow or white in the middle. Bring the corners to match the front. Just pop in with a question, and I will stop what I'm doing. Okay, so it's going in this direction. First column, second column. There are no more edges in the center. So yellow and white are all on the outside. Then now we reassess. Now we assess. So look at your white face and look at the edges and see whether or not they're all correct. They're all correctly placed for the whites and for the yellows. Either they are correctly placed or there's something that's there that's wrong. like for example, here is a yellow that's on the yellow face but not turned properly. So this piece needs to be displaced. Okay, so I'm going to throw one of these pieces into this spot, and then that will put this piece into the middle where I can keep placing things from the middle. And I'm going to do that for anything that is misplaced. So this one's correct, but this one's not. So away, up, in, up, away, down, in, down, and then just throw a garbage piece into wherever a piece is incorrect. These two pieces are incorrect. So I'm going to throw a garbage piece at these two pieces. Slide up, slide up, slide down, and then we just go back to keeping yellow and white left and right and keeping looking at the pieces anymore that are in the center. When the yellow and white disappear again, check the sides again to see if everything is correct. Here is a red piece. Corners match the front. It's white. It's going in the right direction. So away, up, in, up, away, down, in, down. Here is a active piece. Corners match the front. It's going in this direction. Away, up, in, up, away, down, in, down. Here's a blue and white in the corners to match the front. If you did not bring the corners to match the front and just placed it, you placed it incorrectly. You're going to have to displace it sometime. This is going to the left, to the right. So first column, second column, away, up, in, up, away, down, in, down. Okay, here's another one. Active colors on the front, so I flip it. Bring the corners to match the front. Yellow and white are still left and right. It's going the left direction, so away, up, in, up, away, down, in, down. Okay. Here's a blue. I can see if there's any shortcuts when I'm doing at this step. I can't do shortcuts later on, but you can do shortcuts here. So I'm going to see, this is going to go over in this direction. It looks like there's a lot of places, a lot of other colors that are not there yet. So I'm just going to check the other parts of the other side cubes to see if there's any more that I can place at the same time. And there's not. So I'll just place this one over in this direction. Slide up, slide up, slide down, slide down. Okay. Another one going to the right, away, up, in, up, away, down, in, down. Okay. Here's a red and white. Are there any others that I can place at the same time? 1, 2, 3. No. Okay. But there are other pieces that I can displace. Away, up, in, up. Displace that one and that one. There's steps you can do. You can take shortcuts. Yellow and white are left and right. The corners match the front. It's going in this direction. Are there any more? No. Okay, so away, up, in, up, away, down, in, down. Okay. Here's a white. Going to the left. Away, up, in, up, away, down, in, down. Okay. Corners match the front, white's on top, going to the right. Okay. These three all these three all want to displace, so I'm going to displace all of them. Up, up, down, down. And it's just Formula B over and over again. Corners match the front. For me, it's very meditative. For me, very calming and relaxing, because I'm not speeding and I'm just doing it. The cube does whatever I want it to do. The cube is inherently honest. Corners to match the front, going in the left direction. I had a cuber tell me, this is boring. I'm like, okay. Number one, you're not interacting with me. Number two, it's the same thing over and over again. It's very calming, because you do the thing and the predicted result always happens. Very few things in my life are as predictably obedient as the Rubik's Cube. It doesn't matter who's gotten their hands on my stuff. Doesn't matter how twisted it is. It doesn't matter how complicated it is. Doesn't matter how much is out of place. I know that I do the thing, and the result always happens. And I can always, this is the one part of my life that I can always just relax and set in order. So when I want to meditate, I'll pick up the cube. If I want to be challenged and be kind of with complexity, I'll pick up a Minx. It's Formula A and B work on the Minx as well. But whereas the cube is more straightforward, you just pick a cube, pick a color, pick a cube and throw it in the direction it wants to be, and it lands. Like so, up, up, down, down. Because this has twice as many faces, my cube looks like sushi. Because this has more faces, you have to jump more. You can't just get there in one step. You have to jump, like a knight on the chessboard. So if I want to distract myself, I'll take a Minx. If I want to just relax my brain, I pick up a cube. So here's a white. Corners match the front. It's going in the right direction. Oh, you ended your task. So your opposite edges are done. Your yellow and white are done. Yellow and white are all correctly placed. Yes, good. Okay. Let me catch up with you. Okay. The centers aren't, but so now the next thing you're going to do, pretend my cubes are pretend they're solved. Okay, so yellow and white are correct. I'm going to take my white side and put it face down, and now I'm just looking at the yellow side that's nice and happy. And because I've done the white edges are going to be my visual cue for which columns I'm working on if I happen to get distracted. So the yellows and whites are done, the sides are not. So you're going to pick a piece on the side that is not correct, okay, or pick a side where all of them are not correct, and then what you're going to do is you're going to displace, and you're going to displace some yellow into your side, and that's going to give you side pieces that are on the top that you can then place one at a time. Now you can go displace up to the center, but you don't want to displace past the center, but we're going to do one at a time. Okay, so this piece is incorrect. I'm going to displace this yellow piece into my side. White stays face down for the rest of the cage. So away, up, in, up, away, down, in, down. And what happened now is you displaced a yellow, but you now have a piece on top that is not the top color. Okay, so this yellow, you're going to ignore everything on the top except for the piece that's not correct, and you're going to place that piece one at a time into the sides where they go. And that yellow piece will find its way back to the top again, And until it does, we're just going to work on the piece that's not yellow. When the yellow piece finds its way to the top, whether correctly or incorrectly, as long as it's back to the top layer, not face, then we're going to reassess. So I've displaced one yellow. Now I have a piece on top that's not yellow, and that is the piece that I'm going to place next with my white face down for the rest of forever. So I'm ignoring everything on the top except for that one piece. So my corners are now dictated by the bottom corners. So I bring the corners to match the front color, okay, and then I determine which my top color going to the left or to the right, just like we determined for the yellows. So corners match the front, it's going to the left. I'm going to place this piece into the left. The yellow and white, your yellow and white broke. Okay. Well, that's fun. It's not a problem unless you say it is. You wanted more of an opportunity to practice your sides. Again, top row, 2 columns. Outside columns is corners. Inside is an edge piece. And 2 inside pieces is the centerpiece. I'll bet they're not as broke as you think they are. But if they are, scrumbling's the hardest part. You just did that on accident. Finished. Okay. All right. So, yeah. So I've displaced. So here's another piece that's not yellow or white. Corners match the front. It's going into the green direction, and that's going to put up, up, down, down. Okay. Here is a red and green. Bring the corners to match the front. Determine its direction. Away, up, in, up, away, down, in, down. And your white's going to stay face down. It's going to be your visual clue to remind you which columns you're working on. And you're going to do that until your yellow comes back to the top. Then you're going to assess the sides and see which ones are correct and not correct. So while you're doing that, I'm going to keep working. And you tell me when a question comes up. Three pieces swapped. 3 pieces always swap with Formula B. That's what Formula B does. So, corners match the front, determine its direction, away, up, finish the pattern. So the unsolved edge got into the back. Okay, so white's down, so you're looking for the piece on top on the yellow face that's not yellow is the piece you're going to place. Okay, so you hold the top row, rotate the cube until the corners match the front, determine its direction it's going, away, up, in, up. Yes, when you displace a yellow, an unsolved piece is going to go to the back, and you're going to work on that piece until the rest of it gets placed, until the yellow comes back to the top. So the piece that's not yellow, hold the top layer, rotate the whole cube until your corners match the front. Ooh, water. And then you're just going to keep placing the not yellow piece from the top until everything gets back in place. I'm going to catch up with you while you're doing that. Corners match the front. Determine its direction. We did not break the white edges. We only displaced a yellow piece, and that yellow is going to find its way back to the top as you work on the edge pieces. When it finds its way back to the top again, then we assess. So we deliberately displaced a yellow piece down, and then we're going to work on the not yellow pieces that are on the top over and over and over again as we're placing the side edge pieces one at a time. And when that yellow piece comes back to the top, either correctly or incorrectly, if the yellow piece comes back to the top face, then we assess. because that as you're working with the not yellow pieces on the top and then place them into place, eventually you're going to place the piece that is where that yellow piece is, and it'll force it back to the top again. Are you assessing again? Okay, so your white is face down. You're checking your sides. Are there any pieces that are not correct? Then you displace a yellow. I don't know what you mean by a standby. Just mean wait. Oh, are you waiting for me? Okay. So it's just over and over again. It's very same thing over and over again. Oh no, I'm not waiting for you. I'm catching up. Because my whites aren't done. Your opposite edges are done. You're working on your side edges. I'm not there yet. If you're waiting on me, you're backing up. 'Cause I've already fallen in love a long time ago. What you waiting for? 2, 3. It's a long, long time to wait. Corners match the front, and it's just the same thing over and over again. Corners match the front, determine its direction, move it away, and into place. Alright, so my opposite edges, yellow and white, are done. And so I'm going to start working on my side edges like you are already. Okay, when your yellow comes back to the top, then reassess how your sides are doing and pick a piece that's wrong. If you get easily distracted, then just do one layer at a time. But or if you just want to barrel through it, you can go up to all the way up to the center to displace your pieces. Hold the top column, bring the corners to match the front, determine its direction, and move. Garbage piece went to the top back. Find it. Line up the corners. Determine its direction. And throw it. Now again, the yellow will find its way back to the top, but not necessarily in its correct place. So as long as the yellow is anywhere, as long as the yellow you displaced is anywhere back on the top, then we reassess. Okay, corners match the front, determine its direction. Find the piece on the top that's not yellow. Place it. And my yellow found its way back to the top. Okay, so I set my yellow and I reassess. Okay. These two are correct. This one's not correct. I will displace this one and keep going. Away up, in, up, away down and down. And then I have another yellow displaced that I'm going to ignore until it comes back to the top. Corners match the front, determine its direction. Lather, rinse, repeat. Corners match the front, determine its direction, away, up, up, down, down. Okay, my yellow found its way back to the top again, so I'm going to reassess. Okay, pay attention. I'm dealing with the layer that's right next to the corner, so those are the ones that I'm looking at. These two are correct, these two are correct, these two are correct, these two are correct. So this one, I have a parity. I'm not going to fix my parity now. I'll fix it later, because parities are all undone the same way, so we can treat it on all at the same time. So I'm going to displace another piece. Okay. I like to fix all of my parities. On a 7x cube, there are 2 parities you can get. I like to fix my parities at the same time, since it's the same thing. Yeah. Okay, all right, we'll handle your parity now. That's fine. That's fine. I like to handle, if there's more than one, I like to handle all at the same one, because it's the same motion that's done. But here's how you fix a parity, okay? We have all of the other edge pieces in that layer are correct, and we've got 2 now. I force my parities to be opposite each other, like 2 edges from the center. Oh, okay. All right. Let me. I'm trying to get my cube to look as much like yours as I can, so I don't confuse you. All right. So this cube wants to be here. This cube wants to be here, and all of the rest of the cubes on that layer are all correct. Okay. 4th layer. Doesn't matter which layer it is. It's all the same. So if you've paired up your edges and treated it like a reduction method, your parities are going to be opposite. Going to be on the same face as each other, like this. If you do, I force the parities to come up into the same row because it's easier to solve that way. But parities can look a lot of different ways. Okay, but they're all caused by the same thing. The line, the layer that touches your parity is a 1/4 turn off, because there's always 3 pieces to move. If you only see 2, the 3rd piece that you do not see is the 3rd piece that you do not see. So the layer that this is on is a 1/4 turn off. I'm going to place this piece down so I can keep my yellow on top. And where that landed, this is the layer. This is the layer, this is the layer. This is the layer that is a 1/4 turn off. So I'm going to rotate this layer 1/4 turn, and leaving it like that, I'm going to resolve my edges in that state. Line up the corners, pare it down. The parity is always caused by the center being a 1/4 turn off, which you cannot happen in a 3x3 because every piece can only be correct in one spot. But with larger cubes, you can have pieces visually correct, but with your layer off center. So if your layer is off center, you get a parity. If your layer is not off center, you don't get a parity. And if it is off center, single 1/4 turn undoes it. Did that work for you? Or do I need to explain again? All right, let me. That worked! Yay! Isn't it great when things work? Okay, I'm going to displace this piece so I can keep working. Whatever the parity looks like, it's solved by the center being 1/4 turn off. Gotta get my water bottle. Thought it wouldn't. Yeah, you've memorized the parity algorithm, haven't you? The parity algorithm that I had was something like 20 spaces long. And here the Mr. Jeffrey Verasano, though, the first cube master, we're Facebook friends. He told me a story. He told me the story of when he first got to play with the Rubik's Cube. He said, "Whoa, what are you excited about? Share it with me." Had to swap the last two edges. Yeah. So he because he was the world champion at the time, when they had the convention where they invited him to the toy convention, and they handed him the 4x4 and said, "This is what we're coming out with." He said, "Cool," and so he played with it for a while, and then it was time to go, and he said, "Okay." They said, "Okay, give us the toy back." And he was playing with it just long enough to realize, "Oh wait, this doesn't happen on a 3x3. What is this?" And they took the cube back. Now my brain would have an unsolved puzzle. Is it true that the 6x6 took 20 years to be made? Well, the Rubik's Cube came out in 81, or before then, near then. 81 was the first national championship. And I don't know what year the 6x6 came out, but I don't know how many years of that it was actively trying to be made. I do know, however, so I can look at, I don't know what time when the 6x6 came out. But I do know that, since the 5x5 was made? From the 5x5, I do know when the 5x5 was patented, because that was part of my work for writing my book. I read that on Friday. But Rubik's did not invent the puzzle. He only invented the way of holding the cube together without it falling apart. He invented the internal mechanics of holding the cube together. He did not know that he was creating a puzzle. He did not know that he was creating a puzzle. He was just he was just trying to demonstrate how an atom moves around itself. And so when he got it done as a working model in a little wooden cube, he painted the colors so that he could watch how they turned, played with it for a little while, and said, "Okay, I'll put it away now." And he tried to match the colors back up again and couldn't match them. Took him a month. You noticed something. What did you notice? Share with the class. But the puzzle itself, as a 2x2, existed prior to that time. It was held together by magnets. The centers are swapped. Okay. Okay. What does your cube look like now? Do you have the corners and edges all done? Your cage is done, and you're just working with centers now? Because Formula B does the centers. You just pick a piece that's wrong, throw it in the direction it wants to be, up, up, down, down. Congratulations on doing your 7x with the ABCube method. You are now an expert. All right. So, one more. I still have one more layer to solve here. I didn't do my center layer yet. Jeffrey Verasano. So he went home without the 4x4, and he had the puzzle was unsolved in his head. And for me, I'd have an unsolved puzzle in my head until I got the cube again and could try it again. But not him. He went home and took graph paper and colored pencils, and he drew out what that parity had looked like, and then he mapped out, he drew the cube and figured out how to solve the parity without having the cube in his hand. And his parity solve is only 10 moves rather than however many it was. So his brain is amazing. I really, really, really want to meet that guy. I will, someday I will go to Georgia where he is in his pizzeria and I go meet him. He still plays with his cube. He still plays with kids who bring cubes in. Every parity is two pieces that want to be switched. It's always a lie because there's always three pieces, and the parity is always caused by the center piece being a quarter turn off. If you only see two pieces, the third piece you do not see is the third piece that you do not see. So you rotate the slice that touches that parity, and the parity is now poof disappeared. Solve it with that layer in that orientation, and the parity is gone. Doesn't matter if it's a void parity, doesn't matter if it's a corner parity, doesn't matter if it's an edge parity. It will always one quarter slice will always undo every parity that you have. Ta-da! Okay, all right, you guys, this has been fun. Thank you so much for playing with me today. And I will be back. Well, oh, the centers. You haven't done the centers yet? Okay, let's do centers. All right. I thought, when you said you were done, I thought you had done the centers. I'm very sorry. Did not mean to leave you hanging there. Okay. Now, you can do Formula A for the centers for any one face, but Formula A affects all sizes, so when I'm teaching, I only use Formula B to teach. But you can do Formula A for the one face if you want to. Just hold your cube, find a piece, any piece that's incorrect, okay, and then hold the cube so that incorrect piece is on the front. It's going to move to the top. So hold the cube so that the color that your incorrect piece is on top. And then Formula B is going to move this piece up to here, to this position. So we can we can exchange it. We can either bring down this white piece, or this yellow piece, or this white piece, or this white piece. So we're going to bring down, if it's on the opposite face, you do it twice. If it's the opposite face, then find something that wants to go into the place. So for example, here's an orange, okay? It wants to go to the opposite direction, so I'm going to have to throw it twice, okay? So let me find a piece that wants to come down. It doesn't matter. Okay, so here's another opposite face. Here's this blue, so this wants to come down. So I'm going to throw this orange pieces. I'm going to treat these pieces as one because it's big and I can. I'm going to throw this piece up to this face, which is going to bring these pieces down. These two are advantageous. This one is not, but that's okay. So I line it. So the first move is the horizontal move to line it up to where something's advantageous, and then you move it up. Slide it till the piece is in a different column. You can't go if it's on a diagonal. You have to pay attention because if you go this way, it's in the same column, so that doesn't work. So back up. So up, slide to a different column, second up, reverse, down, reverse, down, and set your top again. So here's my orange pieces again. They still want to go to the orange side because they didn't go far enough. Okay. So if I treat these as three pieces, it's going to land in these three spots, or these three spots, or these three spots. So I'm going to move them into these three spots. So my first move was horizontal to line it up, and I go up, slide to a different column, up, reverse, down, reverse, down, set the top. Okay, so those orange pieces move there. Find a piece that's incorrect. Here's a red. It's on the orange side, so it's going to have to jump twice. Here's an orange piece that wants to come down. Okay, so line it up, slide to a different column, second up, reverse, down, reverse, down. Okay, red still wants to go. Okay. Move as big a piece as you can, because you can. Up, slide, up, reverse, down, set the top, and continue. Okay. Here's some white pieces. Hold the white on top. Okay. Up, up, down, down. And the edge pieces are there to remind you which columns you're on. If you get the bigger cubes, you can get confused. For example, here's a green piece. It's going to go to the green on top. I'm going to bring down the white, or the orange, or the red. So I'll bring down the red. So I go up, slide to a different column, second up. Someone talks to me, I get confused. I try to line it up to go back down, and my light didn't line up, so I must have gone the wrong direction. There, that lines up, goes down, and then that doesn't line up, that lines up. So the edge pieces that you've already done are there to keep you on track on which columns you're on if you're dealing with a large cube and you get confused. So here's a blue, wants to go twice. Here's a green to come down. Okay, so I've lined it up. I go up, slide to a different column, second up, reverse, down, reverse, down. And that over and over and over again. You do not have a parity with the centers, because you can move three pieces. You can move two. If two pieces are the same color, it looks like there's only two pieces you're moving, but you're always moving three. And there are several ways you can do it. You can do it outside in. You can do it all from one side and then move to another side. But it's really just a matter of lather, rinse, repeat. You pick a piece that's incorrect on the face, hold it so that it can interchange with something on top, and then up, slide, up, reverse, down, as over and over and over again. Okay, bring down the yellow goes up, blue is going to come down. Let's move this yellow up as well, so that orange will come down. So I go up, slide, second up, reverse, down, set the top again. Here's an orange. Now on the diagonal centers, you have to pay attention to which direction you're going. For the obliques, you don't really have to. So if I move this orange up, it's going to bring a red down. I don't want to bring that down, so I'm going to move the red first instead. So actually, no, wait. I lied. Okay, here's the yellow wants to go up, and the red does want to come down, so that's good. So up, slide, up, reverse, down, and over and over and over again. One row, two columns. Okay, this is fun. What happens if I'm working with the intersections, and instead of using the top row, I use another row as well, and I don't use the outside column? So what if I'm going to use this row and two columns? Let's see what happens. Slide up, slide, second up, slide, down, slide, down. And the fact is that when you're not touching the outside, nothing happens. Nothing visually happens. Slide up, slide up, slide down, slide down. So it's only the outside columns, the outside faces, that make anything actually happen. All right. Do we have any more questions? Or are we set? Red goes up, Green comes down, up, up, down, down. In that case, I'll race you. Tell me when you're done. See if I can get there faster. Why are the corners bigger than the edges? Internal workings. The internal workings, how they're held together. On the small pieces, it doesn't matter, but for the longer, for the larger the cubes get, the internal hooks that hold themselves together have to be longer and longer, and so it just, by nature of the beast, the edges have to be longer, have to be bigger, like this one. Okay, it's about 1.5 times the corner is 1.5 times the edge pieces, and when it's pillowed, it's even more visual. That they get a lot larger. This one I bought secondhand, and some of the pieces are missing, so I have to resticker it. The problem was someone else bought some restickered pieces, and there's evidently already 2 color stickers on here. So this was the original color, and then someone restickered it with these, and so I'm gonna have to resticker the whole thing someday. No. Yeah, but I mean, it still works. Oh no, your cube got scrambled. Okay, what happened was, let me tell you what happened was, you forgot to pay attention to which way you're going. What you did is you went up, slide, second up. You didn't move to a different column. And that's what happens. So let me show you what happens. And I just did it. All right. I was going to demonstrate what happened. You went up, and then you stayed in the same column, and you went up again. But that's okay. That's okay. Because we can redo it. That's okay, because you have mastered it and you know how to do it now. So I am going to go feed my face. Thank you for playing with me today. Come see me again. Show me when it's solved. Do you need me to walk you through anything to get it back in, again, your corners are still solved. You just got to fix your edges again and then do your centers. Okay, thank you for playing with me. I'm going to go feed my face and feed my cat. I'll be back here next week. Go enjoy your weekend, have some fun, and be nice to yourself. Bye.